Woo! Yay! High five.
Well, I'm just going to set low expectations for this podcast. As long as we stay awake throughout it, that will be a success.
If at any moment I go mysteriously silent, there's a decent chance that I have fallen asleep sitting up in front of the microphone.
We just had our Easter lunch, and we have the urge to take an after Easter lunch nap.
For like the rest of the day.
A 12-hour nap.
Some may call it a sleep. I've talked about how I'm working on the backdrop for my classes. It's been going well. The stand that I bought is pretty flimsy. I knew it was going to be flimsy, but I feel like it's particularly flimsy. Anytime it's not perfectly level, the whole thing kind of falls over, which is definitely a problem. So I'm trying to learn how to tell how level it is. The main material for my backdrop is felt. It's been very useful. Whenever I went to go buy the felt, I knew that I wanted to buy a little bit more than I thought I would need, because that's what you do when you buy material. Turns out I bought exactly twice as much as I needed. So now instead of having a little bit to hang over the top and touch the ground, I have to completely fold it over in half. So that was some miscalculation on my part. Better too much than too little, I guess. So I've cut out letters to make my name. I cut out my little dog. And then I've attached Velcro. Anyways, it's very cute. Very cute, very useful, very teacher-like. But that's all going well, and I'm really happy with that system.
Good. I haven't actually seen you use it.
I haven't set it back up at home. So far, I've only used it in other people's homes, which is mostly what I bought it for. I mean, I started building this so that it could be a more mobile classroom, but I haven't actually had time to set it back up since I've been home.
One more piece of follow-up. The photo shoot at my parents' house went well. I think my second batch of photos will be better than the first. It's good to get better at things. Anyways, yeah, I've just got to go through and edit a lot of stuff now.
You've spent quite a bit of time on this project so far.
Yeah, a ton. But most of that's just due to being slow because it's new for me.
Yeah. My grandmother died a little under 2.5 years ago, right after Christmas. She'd been battling cancer for quite a while. Last year, my grandfather, Papa, as I call him, started dating Brenda, and they got married on Friday. Lovely little small wedding, about a 10-minute ceremony.
Much like ours.
Much like ours. It was really just Brenda and Papa's kids and grandkids. So very small, but it was lovely.
Saturday night, after I had taken photos for most of the afternoon at my parents' house, we went to hang out with Shelby's mom for a bit, and then Shelby came home to teach. I could have been home during that time, but there wasn't really much to do at home. On the weekends, I try to do stuff that I can only really do on the weekends. I have lots of photos to edit, I have lots of video to edit, I have things to work on the website, blog posts to finish. I have tons of stuff to do, but I can do that all during the week. So, I went to do some night photography downtown. That's our photography club's challenge this month. I took a few photos of Devon Tower in Oklahoma City while we were there, but that was very rushed. I didn't have very much time. So I wanted to get at least one more set in. You know, I like to get 2 each month at least. I had been planning on going downtown to take some photos anyways, and it just kind of happened that last night was a good night. I'm fairly happy with all of them. A lot of them, you know, kind of have like the streaked lights look from the cars.
What's that called? Like flared?
I have no idea.
There's a name for it. Sun flare?
A flare is a different thing.
Is it? Okay.
Generally speaking, at night, you need a tripod and you need to let your camera shutter be open for multiple seconds. Most camera shutters are only open for a fraction of a second, maybe a 60th of a second or a 200th of a second. At night, obviously, there's much less light, and so you have to be able to just set the camera down and let it stay open for 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 25 seconds, depending on what you want. I also had some ND filters, so I was kind of experimenting with that.
What's an ND filter?
It's basically just a little piece of glass you put on the front of your camera that will make everything darker. It stands for neutral density filter. There are other filters you can put on the front of your lens that will polarize it or maybe tint it one color or another or only tint part of it. But a neutral density filter just makes everything darker. That can be an advantage at night because the lights that you do have in your photo often will get blown out because the whole time you're exposing the image, those lights will continue to hit the sensor. If you take a 5-second exposure, maybe the street will be light enough after all that time with the shutter being open. But then the street light that's in the street will be completely blown out. It'll just be like a ball of light.
Huh. Okay.
What the ND filters will help is to cut some of that light. So it'll bring the amount of light that's being emitted from that street light down to match the rest of the street more closely.
But it doesn't affect the lighting of poorly lit areas? Is that what you're saying?
Generally, no, because those aren't actually emitting light.
Ah, okay.
It helps cut light where it's actually being emitted from.
Gotcha.
I think. This is my understanding of it. Some of the photos I took with the filters, some of the photos I took without. I liked both, depending on the photo. I'll try to get those posted either today or tomorrow. I'm not sure if it'll be up by the time the podcast goes up. I'm really behind on editing. Well, this weekend was going pretty good overall, and then I was stepping off the stage after band practice this morning, and I didn't hear it, I just felt a pop. I wasn't moving in any sort of awkward way, but I did something to one of the vertebrae in my lumbar area. And so my back is in really bad shape.
I'm sorry, honey.
I'm like almost doubled over when I walk. Yeah, it hasn't been this bad since I had scoliosis.
Which was like 7 years ago.
So I will be calling first thing in the morning to make an appointment with the official chiropractor of Hayden's, Advanced Chiropractic. Yeah, I'm really not used to this kind of back pain. It's really bad.
I'm sorry, honey. During the greeting time this morning, it was a very full Sunday at church. We had a combined service, and it was Easter Sunday. So there were a lot of people there that I hadn't seen before. Which, given how new we are, that's not unusual, but I just try to make a point to say hello to people that I don't know. And a couple rows behind me was a family and their son who was, we'll call him 9. I don't know ages. Anyways, and I went to go introduce myself to them and to the kid, and I found myself talking in my like teacher Shelby voice. And I started to use my hand gestures that I do whenever I teach class. I walked up and I was like, hello, waving my hand. I'm Shelby. I almost said my name is teacher Shelby. And whenever I asked the kid his name, I almost started using my hand gestures to indicate, what's your name? And I quickly stopped myself and realized, oh, wait, this person speaks my language. Like, they know the words that I'm saying.
Now you feel like you have to teach every kid you meet English.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. I didn't actually end up doing anything embarrassing or weird, but I just was on the brink of it the whole time I was talking to him. But this is a thing that happens to me with any job that I have. Whenever I was a server at Annie Pasta's, there were a couple times when outside of work, I would answer my personal cell phone and answer the phone saying, Annie Pasta's, this is Shelby. This is a pattern in my life where if I have any sort of different speech pattern at my job, that completely overtakes my speech pattern outside of that workplace.
You need to put boundaries in your life.
Apparently. Anyways, I thought it was very funny.
That is funny. Well, to close out on a high note, drum roll. We just hit 1,000 downloads. Woo!
Woo! Yay! High five.
I high-fived myself.
That's what's that called? A homeschool high five? A clap?
I haven't heard it called a homeschool high five.
You haven't heard that before?
I would say maybe like single child high five.
No. Lol.
Anyways, so we hit 1,000 downloads.
Yay.
That's a cool milestone.
That is cool.
I guess we'll check back in at 10,000. I'm sure it'll happen.
Any day now.
Yeah, in 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I can't think of any reasons why a podcast like this wouldn't go viral and be the next Serial or the next My Favorite Murder. Mm-hmm. Listen to people talk about flimsy backdrops and back pain.
And their online teaching job.
Yeah, so all of those are very appealing things. You know, technical photography terms. Like I said, people cannot listen to a partial episode. Once you're in, you're in.
Well, thank you all for listening.
We do appreciate you. Alrighty, let's wrap it up.
See you next time.